You're telling me they put a hole where? Oh, that's not how you mount a bike. This is the Sondors electric motorcycle, and this has to be the strangest bike I've ever ridden. This is the Sondors Metacycle, a much cheaper electric motorcycle that will set you back $5,000, which in the world of electric motorcycles is quite affordable. The Sondors Metacycle boasts a peak output of 14.5 kilowatts, or up to 20 horsepower. Its unique and high quality frame is made out of cast aluminum, and it also has some incredibly solid motorcycle tires. It also boasts a 4 kilowatt lithium-ion battery, which they claim will get you between 60 and 80 miles of real-world range, although we'll see what the owner has to say about that. This is Hank, the owner of this Sondors Metacycle. He is an e-bike and everything awesome enthusiast, and the question I asked him is what type of mileage does he get with this bike?
So if I'm just cruising around day to day, just like to the beach and back, it'll get like 50 miles. But if you get on it and use sport mode, it'll be down in the low 30s. Like it really makes a difference on how hard you ride it. Yeah, absolutely.
A great answer from Hank, and to be honest, about what I'd expect you'd get out of this bike. Now, electric motorcycles are still a very new market, and if you're looking to get some real range out of a bike, you're probably end up spending $20,000, maybe even $30,000 on a bike such as the Harley-Davidson Livewire, which I believe gets you about 160 miles of range, although at least that's what they claim. So not the greatest range performance from the Sondors Metacycle, but it really does make you wonder, what if instead of having a hole in the frame, they just had more battery? I get it, it's a cool design, but you could totally have some sort of storage bag or maybe an extra battery that might boost that range to maybe 70 miles, but I don't know, it's just a thought. Now I'd quickly like to mention, if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to this channel because I make videos on all the things that you like. And without further ado, let's get right back into it. In my opinion, judging off the little test ride that I did, I'd say the performance on this bike is pretty good. It's not perfect though, it definitely does have its flaws. For one, they claim that this bike gets up to 80 miles per hour, which it does, but it can only get up there for about 2 minutes at a time before the bike automatically shuts down the power and sends you hurtling back down to 60 miles per hour, which is very dangerous for both you and the cars behind you. This feature really confuses me. I know they wanted to claim that their bike can go 80 miles per hour, but why don't they just have this bike go 70 miles per hour and not have the power shut off while you're riding? It would make a lot more sense for most people. I don't know, in my opinion, that sport mode feature is just kind of silly. This bike is definitely geared towards beginner riders, as the acceleration curve is very slow at first and it definitely picks up a little bit, but before you know it, you end up reaching the top speed and you wonder how you got there. Seriously, in my little test ride, I ended up going nearly 60 miles per hour, and I didn't even realize that I was going that fast because this bike is so smooth that I could have sworn I was going about 40.
Damn. I think I was going like 65 miles per hour there, and it didn't even feel like it. Like I maybe, if I didn't look up the speedometer, I would have thought I was maybe going like 40. Wow, this thing is pretty incredible.
Yeah, so riding the Sondors Metacycle was certainly an experience that I wanted to cherish, and I certainly had a lot to say about my 30-minute ride on this bike.
I'm gonna set this thing up right here. Let's check it out. But yeah, wow guys. So I think this is my first ride of like a real electric motorcycle. You know, I have my Surons, I have my bike, but this is a motorcycle. I mean, you can't mistake this for like an e-bike or something. So this is sort of the real deal here. Great brakes on this thing. That's kind of what I noticed right off the bat. I mean, this thing stops you on a dime. Very smooth. I didn't even realize I was going 60 on this thing. I looked down and I think I was going like 65. So you definitely got to be careful about that with this thing, because speeding is certainly an easy thing to do on a bike like this. Wow. Interesting looking thing too. And I think the big thing that trips people out is you have this big old hole right here, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a very uniquely designed bike. Of course, me, you know, I'm thinking put more battery in there, then you're going to extend the range of this thing by, you know, 30 miles, but I guess that's just the design they opted for, which I guess is all right. I mean, it looks cool, and I'm sure this thing gets some decent range. I think it gets like 60 miles as far as I know. It's got a 4,000 watt hour battery, so pretty big. And I'm pretty sure it's like 78 volts. It's just one of those bikes that runs at a weird voltage. It's not like one of the typical voltages, like, you know, 52, what is it, 60 volts, 72 volts, 84 volts. Just kind of its own voltage, you know what I'm saying? It's in its own lane. Suspension is not bad either. It's smooth. It's a little stiffer than it is on my bikes and bikes that I've ridden in the past, but nothing to complain about. And let's also just understand that this is like my first impression on this bike too. So I'm certain that if I was to own this thing and maybe ride it for a week, some problems would come up and I'd sort of get a better understanding of what this bike's all about. But just getting on it and riding this thing around, my first impressions are, so far I like it. This is a fun bike. It's definitely a unique experience to me.
Okay, so now we know that this is a unique and cool bike. Let's say you wanted to order one today. How much would it cost and how long would it take to get to your door?
I got it for $5,000 because that is what they originally offered. I had to wait about probably a year to get it, and I think there's people that are still waiting on this thing because it's definitely a limited, you know, distribution. But I'm not sure what they're asking now, but I think it's a pretty fair price considering that some e-bikes cost that much, you know, and for the size of the battery and how fast it can go. Yeah, I mean, I have a carbon fiber e-bike from like a Unicycle that, you know, is close to that price, but you know, it's nice components. Yeah. But I gotta say that, I mean, it's got Michelin Road 5 tires on it. These are legit motorcycle tires, and frame is, you know, 2 big pieces of aluminum. It's pretty badass. It's just the lights and some of the, you know, accessory items are definitely, people pointed out that it's like Amazon level stuff, you know, so it's not fit and finish like Honda or something like that, but you know, it's functional, it works.
So a big thank you to Hank for making this video possible. I know that a lot of people would be on edge letting somebody test ride their bike for 30 minutes at a time. So it was really cool that he gave me the opportunity to make this review for you guys. But anyways, that's it for today. If you haven't already, make sure to go ahead, hit that like button, leave a nice comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe so I can continue to make more great videos like this. And I will see you guys in the next one.
Here we go. So here's a nice smooth road.